Guys, this is the latest offering from HeyBike. This is the HeyBike Horizon. In this particular one, there's only 500 available. This is number 499 out of the 500 that they made in this paint scheme. This paint color is called Sunset, and I think they did a fantastic job on this. You've got that awesome fade from front to back. This bike is pretty unique. Let's go over all the details on this bike to see if this bike is the e-bike for you. Now, the HeyBike Horizon came in a pretty much standard sized box, and it was relatively simple to put together. So as you guys can see, the HeyBike Horizon is a step-through design that comes in full suspension. The front suspension is a hydraulic suspension. It has lockout and preload adjustment on it. The rear suspension is an air shock. However, it is not adjustable. So if you're a little bit of a heavier rider, you're not going to get as much travel as if you were a lighter rider. Now, being that this is a folding bike, you are going to get a split in the frame right here. But unlike other folding bikes, the battery is actually removable from the top up here. Most folding bikes, the battery will slide in and you have to actually open it up to be able to pull the battery out. Not with this one. It's more like a traditional step-through bike, which I really like that design. Now, the other unique thing about this particular bike being a folding bike is it's a little bit bigger than most other folding bikes out there. And that's due to the 24-inch by 4-inch wide fat tires that are on this bike. This is really unique. Most folding e-bikes are 20-inch fat tire bikes. This is a 24. I think this is a great compromise between the 20-inch and the 26, where a 20-inch can feel a little bit twitchy at times whenever you're going through turns, and a 26 can feel a little bit cumbersome and a little bit sluggish. With the 24, I found whenever I go out riding with this, it feels really comfortable and super responsive. Now on this, you will get front and rear plastic fenders. It does come with the traditional HeyBike headlight that has the HeyBike that glows in it. Now on the back, you are going to get the HeyBike rear tail light, and this actually works as a brake light also, which is nice. And it has turn signals, and the turn signals are separated enough to where traffic behind you would be able to tell which direction you're wanting to turn. Now this is a 750 watt motor that peaks out at 1200 watts. Now also, HeyBike is claiming that the motor can reach up to 80 Newton meters of torque, and it's a 48 volt system. And the 48 volt system ties into a 14.4 amp hour battery. That'll give you roughly around 55 miles according to HeyBike. Now, whenever you first get this bike, don't fall for the thing that I fell for. I thought that the battery was bad. It fully charged up. I couldn't get the bike to turn on. There's a little power switch on the bottom of this battery that you need to make sure that you turn on, because without that turned on, the bike won't turn on at all. Now, full retail, this bike would come in at $1,999, but HeyBike is running a limited sale on these right around $1,499 for the limited edition. Now, they do offer other colors in this particular bike, but this particular one is their limited edition. Now, HeyBike also included a rear rack back here, which is a really nice size rack. Now, these rails are a little bit wide for most standard pannier bags. So if you do plan on getting some pannier bags to put on this, you may want to pick up the ones that are specifically designed for this on HeyBike's website. They included a nice cushy seat. These seats are very, very comfortable. They are definitely made for just cruising around town. Now, looking up front, you do get some ergonomic grips. You've got your headlight button, your turn signal button, you've got a horn button. And then also you have your control pad right here that will turn on the bike, switch through your modes, have your up and down for your pedal assist levels. Now, moving over to the middle of the handlebars, you are going to get this really big, easy to read monochrome display. One thing that's nice about this, even though it's not a color display, this screen is very, very easy to see in bright daylight. I think this display is really, really nice. It's not overkill, but it's big enough to be able to read while you're going down the road. Then over on the other side of the display, you do have your Shimano 7-speed shifter. And then you have your throttle button with your auto light on and off button. Now, HeyBike did equip this with the exact same brakes that came on the HeyBike Tyson that I reviewed. These are the RSX hydraulic brakes, and I had never heard of RSX brakes until I reviewed the HeyBike Tyson. And I've got to say, I've been very impressed with them. They really feel really good out of the box, and the discs on these brakes are 180 millimeters, so more than enough stopping power to stop a bike of this size. Now, one thing I really like that HeyBike has done over this last year is they've integrated an app system, and inside that app, you have a lot of control over this bike. You can actually control how many pedal assist levels you want, exactly what speed those pedal assist levels will go up to, and also you can increase this from a class 2 e-bike all the way up to a class 3. So you can set this bike up to do 28 miles an hour with pedal assist or even the throttle. So let's go ahead and fold this up for you guys real quick. This is gonna be a pretty big bike for being folded up, but if you are limited on space, say in your house or your apartment, or you're gonna be throwing this into a camper, these folding bikes can be pretty useful for saving some space. These pedals will just fold up just to give you just a little bit more clearance. And this one might be a little bit too big to find a tub to actually fit these in, but I know that the smaller 20-inch wheeled bikes, you can generally find like a Rubbermaid tub, and you can fold them up and set them in the tub, and it's easier to carry around. This one would require quite a big tub, but you just simply just unlock it like this, just like any other folding bike. And then you'll just break it away like that, put the kickstand up, and then you do want to make sure that you've got the pedals situated in the proper way, which I didn't right here, but that's okay. You can easily move them out of the way. Simply just fold that up like that. And there we go. Now this bike is fully folded. Now there's nothing that's going to keep this together. So this is just more of like, it's folded and it's a little bit smaller than if it wasn't folded. Now that you guys know pretty much everything there is about this, let's go ahead and take this out for a test ride. All right, here we are on the HeyBike Horizon, and I've got to say, this bike is super peppy. Now I do hear a little bit of noise in the back. I think the brake is rubbing just a little bit. I probably need to do some adjustments, and it may be actually rubbing on the fender, the plastic fenders that are on here. That's not going to stop us from riding. You may just hear a clicking, and just know that that's probably a simple adjustment that we could fix. Now, one thing about HeyBike is that their cadence sensors do have just a slight delay. They have some pedal assist sensitivity levels, but I don't see that that speeds up the cadence sensor all that much, if that's what that's intended for. Now let's see how long this cadence sensor actually takes to kick in. Pedaling, 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 and there we go. So there is a little bit of a delay. Now, one thing that I really do enjoy about this is that even though they don't give us a color screen, they do give us a very large display that you can easily read. We get things that are really handy, like voltage, a battery bar, our current ride time, miles per hour, pedal assist level, and then down here, you're gonna get some other metrics. Right now, I've got it set on total distance. This bike is really smooth. I like this rear suspension. This bike feels a lot like the Tyson, but with bigger tires. And I am digging these 24-inch tires. I actually like this quite a bit more than a 20-inch tire, like what came on the Tyson. These 24-inch tires are really nice. We may get some mud here, which I'm not super excited about, but we're gonna try to go through it and see how it does. There's your suspension test. And of course, this bike is having zero issues going through all this stuff. It's a construction site, so I don't know if there's any nails or anything like that, so we gotta be kind of careful. This bike accelerates really well, gets up to speed really nicely. All right, let's go over here to the neighborhood here. Cut through, use this suspension. Ooh, this works really, really good. Let's ride it off the curb here real quick. See how it does. Oh yeah. Let's see if we can hit maximum speed of 28 miles an hour. I've got this thing set to class 3 mode, and we are not ghost pedaling yet, which is really nice, and we're at 25. Not quite getting to 28 on this flat area. 26. So About 26 miles an hour seems to be the maximum that this motor wants to push. All right, we're coming up to the bridge, and this is where I kind of test suspension on pretty much every bike that I've ridden. It's a nice bump onto this bridge. We'll just kind of cruise down to it and see how this suspension does. Oh, perfectly smooth. And the brake test coming up, and brake. Yes, this bike can stop. No problems whatsoever. But let's go ahead and let's see if the HeyBike Horizon can conquer this 19% hill. Here is a look from my iPhone that I shot earlier this year, so you can see how steep this hill actually is, because the GoPro, as we know, it just won't do it justice. So the way that I do these is I basically start out on throttle, and then I start to pedal once I get up to speed, and we use pedal assist 5 or the max pedal assist, and see how well this bike does going up a hill. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right, here we go. The throttle kicks in really well. We're gonna try to get up to probably about 14. All right, we're gonna start pedaling. And come on, cadence sensor. There we go, cadence sensor kicked in. We're on gear 7, so I've got 7 gears that I can shift down through. And right now we're up to 20 miles an hour. The bike seems to be pulling really well. This is about 12% right about here. We're gonna get to about 15% before the driveway. And then right at the end of the driveway is where the 19% hits. And it's usually pretty taxing on a lot of bikes. Got some good shifting under pressure, which is nice to see. These Shimano 7-speeds generally shift really well. And this guy's doing good. 12 and a half, going up 19%. And all I'm doing is lightly pedaling. Very good. The HeyBike Horizon conquered the 19% hill better than the average bike. I would say the average for most of my e-bikes that I've been reviewing is about 10 to 11 miles an hour. So to see above 12, very impressive. Okay, so now we're gonna do one of my favorite tests, and that is the stability test. We're gonna get up here and we're gonna go back down that big hill. We're gonna get up to about 18, 19 miles an hour, and then we're just gonna coast down and see how well this thing handles going at high speeds. All right, no pedaling. Here we go. Already up to 28. Bike feels really stable so far. 35. Will we hit 36? Let's see. A little bit windy coming at us here. So got a little bit of a headwind. 35 is about what I saw. We might have hit a little bit higher than that, but 35 is what I saw. Felt really, really stable. Not as stable as, say, a 26-inch fat tire bike, but definitely more stable than, say, a standard hybrid e-bike. All right, so let's head back to the house and let's talk about the things that I love and the things that I don't love about the HeyBike Horizon. First thing that I really do love about this bike is the tire size. I love the fact that these are 24-inch tires. I think that in a fat tire bike, 24 inches is just a lot more easy to manage as far as cornering and maneuvering in tight places, where a 26-inch bike can feel really sluggish and a 20-inch bike can sometimes feel a little bit twitchy. The other thing that I absolutely love is I love their app. Their app is really well made. It connects really quickly. They're constantly expanding it. And the fact that you can customize this bike to fit your riding style via the app is a really nice feature. And there are a few other things that I love about this bike, but one more for this video, and that is the RSX brakes. These things just work really well. Having a high quality set of brakes on a bike is very important, and I find that a lot of manufacturers just kind of push that aside and hope that you don't notice it, but HeyBike didn't do that. They put on a nice set of hydraulic brakes that work really well. Now, the first thing that I don't love about this bike is the shock that they used for the rear suspension. I do wish it was adjustable, because if it was adjustable, you could pump that up with a little bit more air if you're a heavier rider, or you could lower it down if you're a lighter rider. There seems to be like a sweet spot of probably about 150 pounds to about 170 to get maximum use out of this rear suspension. Now, the other thing that I'm not a big fan of is the fact that this is a folding bike at all. I wish that they would have just made this a solid frame bike. I think it would have saved a little bit of weight and it would have taken some of the complication out of this bike. Now, you could buy this bike with the intentions of folding it up and putting it in the back of an SUV or maybe in your camper. And I can definitely see this being a quality bike for that. But I think most people who are going to be buying a folding bike are going to want something that's going to be a little bit more compact. And the HeyBike Horizon is more of a full-size bike that just folds up. So I don't see a big advantage of the folding feature on a bike of this size. And there you go, that's the HeyBike Horizon. If you guys want to pick one of these up, especially this limited edition, you might want to jump on it sooner than later. And if you guys decide to purchase one of these HeyBikes, if you want to use my links down in the description below, I would greatly appreciate that. And if this bike isn't the bike for you, you're going to want to check out my playlist here at the end of the video or down in the description, because I've got a ton of e-bikes that I've reviewed and there might be one in there that works perfectly for you. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one.